Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Batman The Shadow, issue number 1 of 6. This is looking to be one of the absolute, hands down, greatest comic series, miniseries, limited series, whatever you want to call it, ever. Issue number 1 is an explosive just attack of incredibility. Guys, when I say this is a good comic, okay, if you are a fan of Batman, I think that you're going to like this. I genuinely believe you're going to like this. The problem that I feel that some people are going to have is that not too many people really know who the Shadow is today. Now, I didn't grow up on the Shadow, for crying out loud. Like, I'm not that old, jeez. But the Shadow started in the 1930s, actually in 1930, as a radio program. It became an actual comic book after Batman had just become a comic book in and of itself. But like when push comes to shove, the Shadow was around for almost a decade before Batman became a thing. So to say that the inspiration, the main inspiration for Batman was the Shadow is the very least bit of credit you could give to the Shadow. Lamont Cranston has always been the Shadow, but has always been one of the many versions, one of the many names. It's just another identity, but it's the identity that he continued using throughout the bulk of his story. So in the very beginning, I'm looking at this and saying, holy crap, this is the Shadow. This guy in Arkham Asylum who's just walking around and respectfully giving the specialty meals to all the different inmates. Instead of just giving them, slop and gruel, he goes out of his way to be respectful to these criminals. That's really cool. And he's so mild-mannered. I'm like, okay, he's getting ready to kill somebody. But no, that's not actually what he was planning on doing at all. Instead, he shows up and he's cool and he goes home and he's got this poor little doggy, a wiener dog in a wheelchair, like its hind legs are paralyzed, and just like, wow. And all of a sudden, he's murdered by a version of the Shadow, something to that effect. And wow, kind of freaky, kind of creepy, kind of messed up. Batman shows up to investigate. Lieutenant Montoya is there, and she's just this kind of harkens back to back in the old crispy version of Batman's relationship with the police force. How they didn't always get along. How they had a very, very grudging relationship with Batman. And he's doing his investigation thing. He's got his own private setup. It doesn't look like anybody's helping. He's got the whole computer network going up. And basically, Batman is trying to investigate, and all of a sudden the Shadow attacks. And he almost slices up Batman. He uses his mind powers, and Batman's baffled. How the hell could you do this? The Shadow has a very specific, very arcane way of using mental abilities to confuse and baffle opponents. And it's great. He like a form of mental invisibility and just confusing your senses. So Batman is able to kind of kick out of it a little bit, but he's still overwhelmed for the most part. Now, this whole entire story is about the murder of this version of Lamont Cranston. And maybe it's one of his descendants, I'm not sure, but this is a beautiful, amazing story where we get to see that, like Batman doesn't have to be out there. I respect those stories where Batman's out there killing Darkseid and trying to, save the universe and things like that. But this is the version of Batman that I love the most, where he's literally just the world's greatest detective. And we saw this back in All-Star Batman issue number 9, where Ra's al Ghul was, surprise, it was revealed a week earlier, the main villain there. And he says at one point, I didn't even comment it back then, I'm commenting now, when he says, and to think, I used to call you detective, because he doesn't really do detective work anymore. But this brings him back to his roots as a detective, and it's beautiful. And the reveal at the end of this, that Henry Ducard, the original guy who really taught Batman how to be a detective, was actually the Shadow the whole time. Holy crap. There is no better homage to the originator, the original ideal of who Batman is, than to make his main influence also his teacher. That is one of the most beautiful, greatest, oh my God, guys, A+ for this comic. This comic actually moved me. Like, just, I know it sounds weird and, make fun of me if you want. It's cool. But this first issue, this comic actually moved me, where it's like, the respect that one artist gives another, or one writer gives another, or one creator gives another. And that's what this was, when you give that certain level of respect, the homage to your lineage. This was an absolutely incredible comic. Guys, I think it's about time that the Shadow was learned a little bit. And, who knows? The Shadow knows. Just, oh my God. Anyway, guys, I'm just gushing now at this point. All right, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, class dismissed.